Later on, Sean and Arnold also finished their mana refining and left early to practice. They felt that they were full of strength and wanted to try their hand. Reuben and Stephen were also the same and walked out. Only 4 people left in the room now. "What's your plan next?" Rhea asked. "Going back to City A base, finish my work, and then advance to rank 7, Samuel replied calmly. Rhea was stunned. "You're planning to advance in City A base?" If he did it there would be a lot of people who would come to City A base and made trouble. After all, Rhea knew very well that the temptation of blocking Samuel's path would be very high for other returnees. Samuel has the highest defensive power. If the other returnees truly wanted to attack him, this would be the best chance for them. "No, I have selected a place," Samuel replied. "Okay." Rhea didn't ask where Samuel was planning to hold his advancement ceremony. She herself didn't mind Samuel staying near the place where she started her advancement ceremony because she has confidence in her formation and that he would not hurt her. Of course, another reason was because Rhea knew that she could advance to rank 7 quickly. But Samuel would be different. There would not be anyone protecting Samuel when he advanced to rank 7. He would be alone and Rhea didn't want to disturb his advancement. Samuel glanced at Rhea. To be honest, even if she wanted to know, he will tell her the location. Just like she trusted him that she will not disturb him, he also trusted that she will not disturb him. Cutting off one's path of advancement would be like making mortal enemies. It was simply impossible for her to do anything like that, so if she wanted to know, he will tell her. But she didn't ask. Before Samuel could speak again, the 2 slowest people were finally done. It really take a long time. Amelia sighed deeply as she looked at her hand and then she grinned. "Rhea, I'm now rank 5. I have become very strong now. Congratulations." Rhea smiled sincerely when she saw Amelia being so happy like this. Amelia giggled happily and hugged Rhea tightly. "Can I have more of it? Or perhaps something that can help me to practice?" With this thing, she didn't have to spend so much time meditating at night. It had made her frustrated for who knows how long. Rhea arched her eyebrows and took out a mana stone. "You can use it. This is mana stone. It contained pure non-elemental mana and can be used for practice. This is just one of the lowest ranked mana stone, but it should be enough for your practice." Amelia nodded thoughtfully as she held the mana stone in her hand. Even though it felt different from the special magic core, but she could tell that it was also very helpful for her practice. Rhea is really good to her. "I love you so much, Rhea." Hey, I'm straight." Ha ha ha. The 2 girls joked around with each other before Amelia said, "Don't worry. I'm now with Brother Arnold. So even if I love you, it's only because you're my best friend." Rhea chuckled when she heard that and said, "Congratulations once again. Do I need to prepare gifts for your wedding soon?" No, it's not that fast." Amelia's face turned red when she heard the word wedding. They have only confirmed their relationship with each other not long ago. Isn't it too fast for her to get married at this juncture? Amelia felt that Rhea's mind was jumping around a bit too much. Rhea chuckled again. On the other hand, Samuel heard this and stood up. "I'm going to find Arnold." Amelia froze. Rhea didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she saw this scene. When Amelia recovered, Samuel was already gone, and she turned to look at Rhea. "Do you think that Arnold can survive?" "They're friends and Arnold is already rank 5, Rhea said calmly. "I think that they'll be fine. Samuel should be able to hold back since Arnold is not his enemy but his future younger brother-in-law. Considering that the 2 of them had been friends for a long time, Samuel should not kill him." "I hope so," Amelia said in a low voice. She didn't want to accidentally let her boyfriend die in the hands of her brother. After all, it was obvious that Arnold is not Samuel's match. And it seemed that her words had accidentally provoked Samuel. "Well, let's talk about Sophia's next magic beast." Rhea glanced at Sophia, who had opened her eyes. It seemed that Sophia's own talent was actually the lowest in their team. After all, without Melly's help and other magic beasts, there was no way Sophia would be able to reach her current stage. If it was not to protect Sophia's privacy, Rhea really wanted to mention this in front of Sean. After all, it was obvious that Sean felt that he was the worst. But in truth, it was not true. Ah, right? Sophia smiled. I want some kind of defensive magic beasts. Actually, can I have flying magic beasts? While I know that flying is an enviable matter, but before you reach rank 5, I don't suggest you to have any flying magic beast. Ria looked at Sophia solemnly. Why? Because there are more terrifying magic beasts in the air, and before you reach rank 5, the feedback on your body will not be strong enough to protect you if you were to fall from a high place. Ria replied without hesitation. Fall from a high place. Both Amelia and Sophia froze. Then again, there was indeed this concern. If they were not careful enough, the magic beast might fall from the sky, and it was something that they had to pay attention to. Thinking about the battle between Ria and Murin, the two of them remembered that Ria had attacked Murin in such a way too before. At that time, Murin had to suffer a lot in Ria's hand and wanted to vomit blood. After all, Ria was extremely ruthless and didn't give any chance for Murin to recover so quickly. If it was not because Murin had 2 flying magic beasts or that his control was good, he might have fallen down. You're right. Sophia sighed. She glanced at Akira, the lightning magic beast not far from her. Akira's size was extremely small, and it was impossible for it to take her flying. Ria saw Sophia's gaze, and her expression changed slightly. After evolution, Akira can actually become bigger. Really? Sophia's eyes lit up. Yes, but a magic beast's evolution required specific treasure, and I don't know the details. Ria scratched the back of her head. She was not omnipotent, and there were a lot of information that she didn't know about magic beasts. After all, her main concern when seeing magic beasts was to kill them at the fastest speed possible instead of thinking about how to increase these magic beasts' strength. Besides, Ria is not a beast master. If she was a beast master, then she might have paid some attention about this matter. Well, I guess I'll have to pay attention to the website, Sophia said helplessly. Many information can be published in the website for them to see, but there were also things that the government hid. They would have to pay some price to be able to get it, and in the future, there might be a way to know these things. After all, Murin might exchange such information for some resources. Being suppressed by Ria like that, and knowing that someone had advanced to rank 7 faster than him, it was estimated that Murin couldn't accept it. His pride and arrogance would definitely make him unwilling to accept this kind of loss. That's the only way. Ria shrugged. Well, what magic beast do you suggest that I can get? Sophia chose to continue asking about this matter. She definitely couldn't before getting a magic beast. After all, if she didn't contract her 4th magic beast, her improvement to rank 5 would be extremely slow. Her own training speed was already extremely slow, and Sophia definitely didn't want to make it even slower. Ria smiled faintly. I would suggest a water-type magic beast. Why? Because it can bring you to travel in the water when you're in danger, and there's a special magic beast that suited you very much. Ria thought about the magic beast that she saw in the crack and said, If you want to see it, I'll bring it to you next time. Strength? Sophia asked. Only rank 4. You know very well that there's a limitation in terms of magic beast's rank that you can contract. Beastmaster could only contract magic beasts of the same rank as them unless they wanted to experience backlash. Of course, if the magic beast advanced after they had formed the contract, it would be nothing much. But the initial contract could only be lower or the same as them. Since Sophia is already a rank 4 Beastmaster, she could contract a rank 4 magic beast if she found them. Can you tell me more first? Sophia asked. Ria nodded. It's a castle turtle, a special magic beast that can create defensive water shield for protection, and its own body can be used as a shield. The size is a bit big and it likes to eat seaweed. Castle turtle? The two people were confused. They didn't seem to see this magic beast in the Magic Beasts Encyclopedia list that they saw before. All known magic beasts and their information would be put in the website by the government. There were many magic beasts there, and both Amelia and Sophia knew very well that they had to have enough information to be able to defeat their opponents. Know yourself and your enemy, and one would be able to win 1,000 battle. Well, in any case, they were also forced to memorize that list. Amelia was asked by Samuel while Sophia was asked by Stephen. Their brothers were concerned about their knowledge reserve and didn't hesitate to let these two people to learn many things. It was something that Rhea also knew. That's because it hasn't been found yet. The castle turtle was very big and it can only be found in lake. But because there's no cracks that appear in the middle of the lake, you can only found them inside the crack, Rhea replied. I found one last time, but I didn't have time to take picture of it. When she got back to the crack, she would have to spend some time looking for the castle turtle again. Thankfully, there was a teleportation formation nearby. How big is it? Sophia had a bad premonition. The size of this room? Rhea pointed at this room. Sophia? Amelia? How am I going to keep that magic beast if it's so big? Sophia wanted to collapse. Even now, Melly was already 3 times the size of an ordinary dog and Mo was already 4 times the size of a normal white tiger. Just thinking about how to keep Mo had already given her a headache. Thankfully, Mo was able to roam around on his own and didn't make any trouble. Otherwise, Sophia really didn't know how to bring it into the city. You just have to keep it in your pet space and summon it outside, Rhea replied indifferently. Anyway, it's a pure defensive magic beast. Effective to protect yourself, and you don't have to make Melly suffer all the time. Melly is Sophia's current defensive magic beast. But it was using some magic to protect Sophia, which was not very convenient. With this castle turtle, even the physical defense was top-notch. Sophia? While it was true, but the image didn't seem to be that good. This? How about the speed? In the land, the castle turtle is really slow. Rhea had to admit that this was one of the weaknesses. But in the water, it's actually very fast. She didn't know the principle either, but she felt that she didn't really want to know. Because Rhea estimated that if she said this in front of Ruby, the other party would gladly start a lecture full of various biological terms that she couldn't understand. Let me take a look first next? Sure. In this way, it was settled for Rhea to bring it for Sophia to take a look first. If she was not satisfied, she could pick from the list that the government had provided for them. For this matter, Rhea wanted to complain. Her knowledge over magic beasts were actually not very thorough and could be wrong. After all, Rhea is not a beast master, and it would be better to rely on the profession to identify these magic beasts' strength and weakness. But Sophia would rather choose Rhea to help her. Also, I don't know where Mo is. He has been staying outside on his own, Sophia said while rubbing her forehead. Mo was simply too active and Sophia didn't know what to say about this matter. After all, it was simply impossible for her to detain Mo, and that white tiger seemed to have his own minds. Leave him be. Rhea shook her head. I only keep him because I want a mount in the first place. The two girls. They silently gave thumbs up to Rhea. Let's go out now. I want to see Arnold, Amelia said as she rushed out. They have talked for a long time, so the battle between Samuel and Arnold should be over, right? Sophia didn't follow immediately and instead turned to look at Rhea. Do you want to see my progress? It doesn't really matter. Rhea shook her head. I believe that your magic beasts are quite powerful, and giving you the special magic core is just to increase your mana, so that you can summon them in battle for a while longer. These magic beasts could use Sophia's mana through their contract. But in the first place, they would not take too much of her mana because Sophia's own strength was not high. The best combination would be a powerful magic warrior and the powerful magic beasts. But those people who were already powerful on their own would not be willing to share their power with the magic beasts. It was also because of this that the magic beasts profession has become an unpopular one. After all, keeping magic beasts were not easy. I know. Sophia smiled and then walked out to follow behind Amelia. Rhea arched her eyebrows when she saw this and chuckled. It seemed that Sophia had long known that she didn't care too much about what kind of paths that they wanted to take. Everyone is different, and Rhea would never force others to follow the same paths as her. What they pursued in life, what they cherished, what they wanted to achieve, everything was different. There was no need for her to force them to follow her way. Since this was the decision they have made for their lives, then she would support them and only help when it was necessary. Because what she wanted the most was for them to live well and happily. As their friends, this is the greatest blessing that she could give. After coming out, Rhea saw Arnold, who was half-beaten by Samuel along with the laughing Reuben and Stephen. Even Sean's shoulder was shaking when he saw Arnold's miserable appearance. "I thought that you're going to test your strength by fighting the magic beasts, but you end up fighting the strongest one among them all," Sophia lamented. "Sophia," Stephen reminded. Sophia grinned and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Samuel would not beat her up, and this was something that Sophia knew very well. Since that was the case, she would not hesitate to talk openly about these things. Besides, Samuel had no time to care about her. "Brother." Amelia looked at Arnold and felt a bit distressed. She glared at her brother and her arms were crossed as if she was asking for explanation. "He get hits on purpose," Samuel replied lazily. He wasn't planning on targeting Arnold's face, but this man chose not to hide when his punch arrived. So even if Samuel was not really using his real strength, Arnold's face ended up bruised like this. It looked a bit miserable. Rhea saw this scene and shook her head in amusement. "Let's go to the hospital," Amelia said. "This is just light injury and there's really no need for me to go to the hospital," Arnold said, refusing Amelia's request. In this case, Amelia turned to look at Rhea. "Let me teach you a magic spell," Rhea said as she slowly chanted. "I'm the messenger of light, borrowing the healing power to treat and heal injuries in front of me. Lend me your light, healing light." The light came and fell on Arnold, healing his injuries at speed visible to the naked eyes. Since none of his injuries were serious, this low-ranked magic spell was more than enough to let him recover. The others looked at this scene and arched their eyebrows. "It's really cool." Amelia's eyes lit up and then she frowned. "No, wait. I don't have light element, Rhea." "Ah, but as long as the percentage is not below 1%, you can still have the chance to learn this magic spell." "No. You're playing around me. Ha ha ha. Get back here." Arnold watched as Amelia was chasing after Rhea and fell into silence. He glanced at Samuel and then said, "Do you need my help to get her?" He felt that it would be better if Rhea had a boyfriend so that she would not stay with Amelia all the time. Sean couldn't help but laugh out loud when he heard Arnold's words. He felt that the IQ of men who had fallen in love was terrifyingly low. As for himself, he would never consider himself among them. After all, he believed that he's the smartest. Samuel rubbed his forehead. "Just take care of my sister and don't forget about your promise." As for Rhea, he planned to confess to her soon. Before that, he should deal with his own problems. Stephen understood Samuel's implication and chuckled. "Got it." It seemed that he didn't have to wait that long. Samuel and the others didn't stay in City I base for a long time. He heard about the incidents that happened before and felt that Arnold's past identity was indeed a bit troublesome. Thankfully, the problem was not that big and still under their control. As long as they were strong enough, there wouldn't be anyone who could make trouble for them. The group of 8 returned to City base after 2 days and Rhea also saw Mo again. Upon seeing the white tiger that was several times bigger than her, Rhea fell into silence. She had underestimated this white tiger's growth. Thankfully, the space she prepared for it was big enough to accommodate it in her world. And their group of 8 also ride on Mo to return to City base because it would be faster this way. Of course, their formation shocked many people along the way, but many of them could already accept it. No way, who made Beastmaster an official profession? Even though some people wanted to eliminate all magic beasts, many others felt that the current situation was not that bad. How it would develop in the future was still something that they needed to wait and see, though. After reaching City base, Samuel was dragged by his father to work while Sean headed to find his girlfriend to explain his situation. Amelia and the others were busy training while Rhea went back to her room and then entered her world to start preparing many things. "First, I need teleportation formation plate. A formation plate would be much more convenient than drawing it on the spot." Rhea looked at her diminishing resources and sighed in her heart. She knew very well that she had to enter the crack again sometime soon so that she could get more resources. But before that, she better be prepared. Secondly, I need a space lock formation plate. Space lock formation plate was just like its name. It was used to lock down a certain radius of space, making any kind of space transfer impossible. Of course, the space lock formation was not omnipotent. After all, there was still the limitations of ranks and so on. But it would be enough in most cases because if they wanted to prevent a Runemaster from escaping, a space lock formation would be needed. But this can only trap rank 7 at most. Ria sighed. The formation was definitely limited to her own ranks, and this was something that Ria understood very well. The stronger she is, the stronger the formation that she could make. But because she was only a rank 7 Rune Master, then her strength was undoubtedly limited. Not that she minded that much, though. After all, she didn't want to bite more than she could chew. Next, Ria quickly made the 2 formation plate as she wished. For teleportation formation plate, she made more than one as backup. There were cases when her opponents shattered her formation plate and it was very annoying. Even if she could draw a teleportation formation on the spot, but it would not be as fast as a formation plate. Defensive formation plate and killing formation plate. Looking at the remaining resources, Ria quickly built all the formation plate that she had long wanted to make. These formations were all at rank 7, which made her spend a long time in the world to finish it. Thankfully, she had already set up the Do Not Disturb note in front of her room. Other people also knew that Ria had just advanced to rank 7, and it would not be strange for her to meditate for a long time to consolidate her rank. It was just, the returnees definitely knew that there was no need to consolidate their ranks. They have already done that once in that world and knew what they should do to consolidate their ranks almost immediately. What they needed was to get used to their rank again. A month passed before Ria came out of her room. Amelia looked at Ria, who finally came down to have breakfast with odd expression. I thought that you're about to become a monk, Ria. Ria? It was not that exaggerated, right? You've been staying in that room for an entire month. If it's not for my brother saying that it's normal for magician to meditate for months or even years, I really want to knock on your door. Amelia shrugged. She felt that she was lagging behind in terms of adaptation. After all, thinking about not eating and drinking for an entire month, Amelia felt that she really couldn't do it. I need to make preparation before going to find the magic beast that Sophia requested, Ria replied helplessly. Huh? You're going again? Amelia was stunned. They have only returned to Cydia base for a short period of time and Ria was basically holed up in her room all the time. Now, Ria was planning to leave again? Well, yes. Did you get infected by my brother's workaholic trait? Amelia rolled her eyes. Come with me and let's pay a visit to Ruby. You haven't seen her in a long time. Don't you miss her? Ruby? Ria thought about that girl and remembered that she seemed to forget everything when she was making those formations plates in her world and so on. She scratched the back of her head with embarrassment and said, Sorry. Don't apologize to me. I know you're busy, especially since you have reached rank 7 faster than the others. But I think that you shouldn't lose touch with your friends, Amelia said seriously. She didn't think too much about it before. But after seeing that the time spent with her friends had gotten lesser and lesser, Amelia started to treasure the time she could spend with her friends more, because she knew that it was impossible for them to be together all the time. I know. Ria nodded guiltily. The higher their ranks, the more they would need to spend their time in meditation. It was really easy for them to lose touch with the world outside. Thinking about this, Ria sighed. Anyway, she will live for a long time in the future as long as she didn't encounter any incident in the middle. Before it was time for her to spend her days in full meditation, it would be better to stay with her friends too. Then, let's go see Ruby? Wait. Let me eat something first. Ah, okay. In the past month, Sean had already made the arrangement for his future paths. He had talked with Joan and the latter didn't mind that Sean wanted to be a full-time magic warrior in the slightest bit. She herself wanted to stay in the hospital and treated people. In this way, the two of them would work together from time to time or meet together after they finished their work. It was a relatively ordinary schedule, but this was something that Sean liked. As for traveling again, sorry, he refused. But recently, his mother started to talk to him about officially getting married and live with his girlfriend. After all, it was really not convenient for them to do anything if they were still staying with his parents. Cough. So Sean has been planning this recently. Carson family. Stephen and Sophia could be said to be staying outside of the Carson family for a long period of time. There was a few months' gap because they followed Samuel to deal with the magic beasts tied some time ago, and then left to City I base because these two didn't come back. Through this, the two of them managed to train well. But after coming back, Stephen realized that the atmosphere had changed somewhat. "Father, what happened in the past few months?" Stephen asked with a frown. He could tell that his grandfather seemed to have been doing some kind of plans, and it didn't seem to be a good thing. Stephen's father looked haggard. To be honest, he also tried to train, but he found out that his talent was even worse than the others. It was unknown how he managed to have a son who was talented like Stephen. "Father." Stephen looked at his father solemnly. Stephen's father sighed deeply and said, "The Carson family has entered various institutions. Right now, every link is important and it's still spreading out." Various institutions. When Stephen heard this, how could he not understand what his father meant? His eyes flashed for a moment and narrowed slightly. There was no way his grandfather wouldn't take advantage of the existing situation, so it meant that something had happened that allowed him to sneak his people into these institutions. "They're taking the privilege that used to be mine and my sister," Stephen said with certainty. "Yes." Stephen could see his father's tired look and shook his head. He knew that his father was weak towards his grandfather's words and coercion. In this way, he was not surprised that his father would allow them to step forward and took these things. Besides, Stephen didn't think too highly about what his grandfather gave to them. There's nothing free in the world. This was something that Stephen had understood deeply from the very beginning. If they wanted something, they had to pay for it, one way or another. What looked like free could be the most expensive thing in the world. Because what they used to pay, it could no longer be measured by money. "About this matter, Father, you don't have to worry too much." Stephen looked at his father and sighed. His sister cared for their father greatly and had a strong sense of responsibility. But Stephen was very clear that he was different. Because from the very beginning, he didn't have much contact with his father. Ever since he was young and confirmed to have enough talent, his father handed him over to their grandfather to be cultivated to be the successor. Stephen could never forget the day when his own father gave the report to grandfather and let his grandfather made all arrangement for his own future. The Carson family has never been a warm world. It was a cold-blooded family where the blood relationship was extremely thin. They could stay together as long as there was profit in front of them. But when there were troubles, they would not hesitate to run away and abandon whoever brought them bad luck. How many people have been abandoned by old Master Carson? There were too many to count, including those distant relatives and those orphans who were picked up to serve the Carson family through various methods. Stephen had seen too much, so when he saw his father like this, he didn't have much feeling. But his sister is different. As the useless young miss of the Carson family, she has been neglected by the family for a long time. They didn't care too much about her and let her do whatever she wanted. There was no pressure for her either because it was useless even if they wanted to care about her. There were many more people more useful than Sophia in the Carson family back then. And with Stephen protecting his sister, no one could touch her even if they have some ideas. Old Master Carson also turned blind eyes to this and even glad that Stephen has some weakness. But the world has changed. The Carson family could no longer afford to lose any chess pieces in their hands. Everyone who had some values would be squeezed until all of their worth was gone. Everything for the sake of the family. To be honest, Stephen was disgusted by it. However, he also knew that he could not get away from the Carson family back then. They have various connections and it would be difficult to get away from them. Besides, where does he want to hide? It was impossible. He could only be one of the heirs and managed business well for the Carson family while protecting his sister. Under his protection, Sophia didn't have to touch these dirty things. Unfortunately, things didn't go in accordance to what he wanted. The world changed and what awaited them was nothing more than the fact that it became increasingly difficult for Stephen to protect his sister. His father? It was already good enough if his father didn't hand Sophia over to their grandfather in a silver platter. His father's filial piety was extremely strong. So strong that Stephen didn't understand. At the same time, Stephen knew that he couldn't be like this father of his. The person he cared for the most is his sister, followed by his father. As for that grandfather of his, Stephen couldn't really bring himself to truly care for that man who only saw his descendants as nothing more than chess pieces on top of a chessboard. If they were useful, they would be favored. If they were useless, then they just had to wait for the day when they would be thrown out or having their entire value squeezed without anything left. Stephen's father looked at his son, who had a calm face, and frowned. Without the Carson family, it's not possible for you. Father, I know. He knew, but he couldn't agree to it. Even if he knew that they have gained a lot of privilege by staying in the Carson family, Stephen could not bring himself to truly stay loyal to the family and dedicated everything to his grandfather. He's a selfish person. It was precisely because he's selfish that he didn't think he would be able to sacrifice everything for the sake of other people. These people might be related to him by blood, but the real connection between them was extremely faint. So faint that Stephen would not think it was strange if they suddenly stab him from the back. Because he himself had no expectation for them. Only if the family thrives would it be possible for you to live well. Stephen's father continued the words he wanted to say. It was also the motto of the Carson family. Dedicate their ability for the family, and only then would it be possible for them to truly thrive. Because only if the family is strong would they be protected by the family when they were outside. In a way, it was true. But only if the family was truly protecting them well instead of exploiting them as what they have done so far. From what Stephen experienced so far, he felt that what old Master Carson did so far was to suck out as much blood as possible from the family members around him. He never treated them as a person and more like a tool. So this story about making the family thrive so that they could have a solid backing, it sounded ridiculous in Stephen's ears. At the same time, he had no doubt that if there was someone who tried to break away from the Carson family, the others will definitely rush over to stop them or take advantage of the situation and destroy them before they could get out. Because only if they were thoroughly crushed would it be possible for them not to affect their interest. No one can shine far too brightly, and one can't be too bad either because it'll be trash. Stephen turned around without looking at his father. Isn't this the way it has always been in the Carson family? If they were too good, the others would be jealous and would do whatever they could to drag him or her down. Because they didn't want someone who was too good and possibly overshadow everyone else. Old Master Carson also didn't like having a descendant who was too good because it would be hard to control the other party. But if they were useless, it would be even worse. Unless there was someone who protected them, the Carson family would not even be willing to let them grow up and would rather throw them away like trash. That was what had happened to some people who ended up unable to do anything back then. Stephen's father's face turned pale. He looked at his sons departing back and silently lowered his head. There was nothing that he could do. This is the cruel reality of someone who had lived in this cruel and cold family for decades. While Stephen and Sophia were still living well in the Carson family, the stiff atmosphere made Sophia realize that the family was different from before. She didn't need her brother to explain it to her. From the very beginning, Sophia knew very well that it was impossible for the Carson family to place their bets on her and her brother all the time. With so many people greedy to advance and take the dominant position in the family, how could it be possible for them to stay quiet and watch as Stephen and Sophia were advancing step by step? They should have their own plans. But Sophia didn't think that it was strange and chose not to care about it. The resources from the Carson family was very scarce, and she herself knew that she would be too naive if she thought that she could rely on it for the rest of her life. Woof? Are you all right, Master? Melly looked at her master worriedly and nudged Sophia's leg. With her own contribution points, Sophia rented a house for her to stay not far from Amelia's house. The entire place basically belonged to Samuel, and if he wanted to, it would be easy for sell these places. But the monthly rent was expensive. For Sophia, it was nothing much, though. At least, it was 1,000 times cheaper than her pet's food fees. Ah, I'm fine, Melly. Sophia rubbed Melly's head tenderly as usual. There was a faint smile on her face, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. She talked to her grandfather about moving out, and he told her that if she wanted to stay outside, she had to pay for it herself. For Sophia, this small amount of contribution points was nothing much. If this was the price she needed to pay to stay far away from the Carson family, it was nothing. But even if she was staying out here, Sophia knew very well that it was impossible for her to cut off contacts with the Carson family. This was nothing more than a temporary measure because they would not care about her. If only it was possible to stay further away from the Carson family. Sophia, I know you like to sit on the floor, but can't you buy a carpet or something in your own house? Hearing the familiar voice, Sophia raised her head and saw her brother standing at the doorsteps. He looked at her with helpless expression and Sophia felt a bit guilty. Brother, why are you here? I just talked with father, Stephen replied and rubbed Sophia's head. Don't worry about anything. They can't do anything to you. Sophia blinked her eyes and hummed in a low voice. Seeing her expression, Stephen knew that his sister didn't fully believe him, but he had no way of making her fully trust him. He rubbed his forehead and could only let Sophia live peacefully here for the time being. Anyway, the base would not make any trouble and he just had to put up his guard against the Carson family. His grandfather is old, but there were still many people who supported him. He cultivated a group of loyal fools who only knew how to listen to his words. It was really annoying. After talking a few more words with his sister, Stephen let Sophia met with her two friends instead. When Sophia was with Amelia or Ria, she was clearly more energetic. Okay, I'll go see them, brother, Sophia said and patted Melly's head. It's been a while since I played with them. Go. Stephen watched Sophia walk out of the apartment and stumbled upon Amelia and Ria who were going to the research institute to pay a visit to Ruby. The three girls laughed and then walked away. He himself headed towards the government center in City A base. In the past year, it could be said that City A base had transformed from a roughly made base to a real base that looked no different from an ordinary city. To be honest, Stephen didn't understand how Mr. Jones was able to transform the city so much like this. After all, it was not so easy to make those people listen to his words. Yet, Mr. Jones was able to do all of this. Because of his identity as Samuel's friend, he could directly go to Samuel's office room. Even though Samuel himself rarely came here because he didn't think that it was necessary for him to be here. His father could handle most of the work. But since he had just came back for a short period of time, he quickly finished the pile of work that was left behind and needed his consent. Father, can't you deal with it yourself? Samuel sighed after he finally cleared out all the works that he had to do. City A base is yours and I'm just helping you to manage it. Mr. Jones rolled his eyes. Be thankful that Reuben is helping you or you won't be able to finish so much work so quickly. This brat left for more than half a year and only gave some instruction through the phone occasionally. So they could only handle the most urgent matter while the rest was piled up here. Now it was finally done. Well, he's a good assistant, Samuel replied without hesitation. In terms of paperwork alone, Reuben was definitely better than him. Moreover, he could see that Reuben was very meticulous in his work and also a loyal person. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to trust the other party so much. He's not here today? The work is almost done, so I give him a break. Samuel stretched his hand and then asked, Does those people still cause trouble for you? Thanks to your deterrence, they didn't dare to do anything, Mr. Jones replied. There are definitely some ungrateful B***stards mixed in, who likes to make trouble from time to time, but most of them know how to behave themselves. When talking about this matter, Mr. Jones also felt helpless. He didn't understand why these people wanted so much when they came to City A base. Didn't they see the devastation outside and now they still wanted to get something for nothing? It was outrageous. Samuel spread his hand. A good person would not live long, while the evil one will definitely last for a long time. Ha ha! Mr. Jones could only let out dry laugh. There was nothing that he could say about that. But Samuel also knew that there were still many good people out there. There was no need to look at people from the worst side all the time. He raised his head to look at the door and arched his eyebrows. Stephen, if you keep standing there, I'll think that you want to eavesdrop. Mr. Jones was stunned and looked at the door too. Even though he practiced, Mr. Jones' rank was not as high as many others due to age factor. He couldn't train that hard either and only enough to prolong his life to a certain degree. The door opened and Stephen walked inside. I was thinking of waiting until you finish talking, Sam. I'm done. Mr. Jones rolled his eyes and nodded at Stephen politely before walking out. The two of them were friends, and Mr. Jones had known about this for a long time, so he didn't care that much. Clip. After the door was closed, Stephen looked at Samuel and asked, "Do you know what kind of agreement the Carson family has with the Magic Association?" Samuel thought about the paper that he signed and sighed. The Magic Association negotiate with City A Base so that they could still be stationed nearby and absorb people to follow them. The Carson family heard about this and approached them to learn magic spells. He didn't tell Stephen the details of the negotiation, and Stephen also didn't want to know about it either. After all, it was not exactly his business. If City A Base were to fight the Magic Association, will the Carson family be involved? Samuel arched his eyebrows. That's a harsh accusation. A base fighting against the entire association? Unless there was a good reason and profit that could be obtained, it would be impossible for this kind of thing to happen. Samuel was not a person who was very keen on world dominance and **T like that. Be realistic. It was impossible to do such a thing even if many parts of the world has been destroyed because of the magic beasts. The remaining people would not back down so easily. I just mean if Murin is not exactly likable, Stephen replied. Well, Murin was definitely not likable. And there were also many other people whom Samuel himself didn't particularly like among the returnees. After all, they have their own conflicts when they were in that world, and after coming back to the Green Planet, some of them retained these conflicts and some others chose to put it down. It would be useless for them to fight among themselves, so they chose not to bother with such a matter anymore. As long as Murin didn't do anything that endangered the Green Planet, I don't think any returnee is willing to fight him. Samuel tapped the table and then smiled faintly. Besides, you don't know how many people are trying to curry favor with City A Base now. The fact that Ria advanced to rank 7 couldn't be hidden. This has long spread all over the world, allowing them to know that there was an extremely powerful Runemaster in City A Base in Continent Z. Because of this matter, there were many bases who wished to have contact, including bases on the other side of the planet. Samuel didn't tell this thing to Ria, but he guessed that she should know. After all, her advancement ceremony was extremely high profile, and people all over the world has been working hard so that they could advance not rank 7 for a long period of time. Now that one of them had taken that step, no one wanted to lag behind. He himself was also making his final preparation for his advancement in his busy schedule, and had selected a place to hold his advancement ceremony. I see. Stephen rubbed his chin. He had heard about Samuel's secret preparation to advance to rank 7. Moreover, he also checked the forum and knew that some people discussed about this matter. They said that advancement to rank 7 is a big matter, and the officials were paying close attention to this matter. But it was only now that Stephen realized how big of a deal this is. Well, it's still far away from you, Samuel said lightly as he looked at Stephen in front of him. I don't think that you're only here to discuss this, right? I need a favor to figure out what the Carson family has been doing in the past few months, Stephen replied. After coming back to the Carson family, those people were not willing to let him know what they have been doing in the past few months. The alienation was very strong, and Stephen completely understood that they were trying to isolate him and his sister. Was it because they were too strong? What a ridiculous family. But if he didn't know anything about their movements, Stephen felt that he wouldn't be able to be prepared in case they suddenly attacked him. After all, he didn't believe the Carson family was willing to stay quiet for a long period of time. They divided their family into 3 parts, joining 3 different forces, Samuel replied. The Martial Arts Association, the Magic Association, and the military. You have to figure out their identities yourself, as I have no time to check them. The Carson family has expanded slightly in the past few months through marriage and so on. After all, their number had decreased sharply after the magic beasts died, and many of them didn't survive. So the remaining few people were used to expand their connections and so on. I understand. Stephen nodded with a frown. Samuel looked at the tangled Stephen and asked the question he has been wondering about for a long time. Why don't you ever think of leaving the Carson family? The world is no longer the same as before. If it was before, he understood why Stephen would rather stay and kept their strained relationship with the Carson family. After all, there was nowhere they could go so easily without the Carson family's influence. Besides, who would like to live in hiding for the rest of their lives? Stephen was clearly not someone who liked such a thing, so it would be better for him to live while accepting half control of the Carson family. I do think that way, but do you remember the story of how to tame elephant? Stephen smiled coldly. Tie the young elephant's legs with a chain so that it couldn't get out, and when the elephant grow up, even if it's only an ordinary rope, the elephant will think that it can't get out at all. It was the same for the Carson family. Stephen had watched the education that his father, uncle, and aunts received when they were young. Their spirits were crushed, and they were made to be loyal to his grandfather no matter what happened. It was to the point that they would not have any thoughts about rebellions. When it came to the grandchildren, they were also taught in a harsh way, trying to repeat these things. Stephen himself is a rebellious child, and since his grandfather didn't have time to care for all of his grandchildren, his control over him was not as strong. Only his sister was more affected and didn't dare to fight against the Carson family. But with her being useless in the past, they didn't pay much attention either. They lived in peace. But now, they were in the limelight because of their abilities, and the Carson family's resources tilted towards them for a period of time. Now that old Master Carson had set his eyes on the associations, the attention had decreased to a certain degree. The problem is that Stephen understood that old Master Carson would not want to let them get out of control. Otherwise, he would not have put pressure on his father. Thinking about his own father, Stephen had a headache because he didn't know how to make his father stop being so loyal and stupid like that. Ah, I have heard about that. Samuel frowned. But humans are different from elephant. But I guess not many people dared to take that step to release themselves, because they have gotten used to be oppressed and live a comfortable life under old Master Carson. His children didn't think that there was anything wrong. Even if the world changed, these people were still listening to old Master Carson. In a way, this old man was quite terrifying and cold-blooded. That's just how messed up my family is. Stephen spread his hands, not bothered with this matter. Besides, there are more messy families, like your little girlfriend. Ria is not his girlfriend yet, but Samuel has no interest to correct Stephen's words. Well, those people are surprisingly tenacious and ruthless, Samuel replied helplessly. After the incident in where Sierra, Ria's half-sister, killed Mrs. Thompson, Ria's biological mother, there were more people from the Magic Association coming. For some reasons, Sierra and her father had contact with them and become magicians. As for Mr. Thompson, he didn't have any talent and was still busy taking care of his comatose son. It was really miserable. Ria's mother was staying in different city base, and Samuel hadn't heard about them again. But he guessed that they wouldn't die so easily because Ria's mother's family background was really strong. To be honest, Samuel himself wondered why would she marry someone like Ria's father. After all, in terms of status, Ria's father was far from being comparable to Mrs. Taylor, and it was already odd enough that someone of such high stature was willing to be the third party. Then again, Samuel couldn't understand their strange way of thinking. Well, maybe you can play the script of a hero saving the beauty, Stephen joked. I think that the beauty is violent enough to kill her enemies on her own, Samuel complained. If these people could pose any trouble to Ria, who has already reached rank 7, then he would think that the sun had risen from the west. There was no way such a thing could possibly happen. Stephen laughed and said, I don't think she'll be happy to be called violent. Well, her attacks are indeed beautiful enough. Samuel nodded in agreement. After all, Ria used various kinds of magic. Even though the magic selection was relatively straightforward because Ria was not the kind of person who liked fancy magic, it still looked very beautiful. Right? Are you going to deal with them yourself? Samuel turned the topic back. Well, Stephen nodded thoughtfully and then said, I don't think I have any other choice. If you truly offend the two associations, I can still help you, but you better not offend the military openly, Samuel advised. For him, the two associations were nothing much. Even if they have some conflicts, they still needed each other, so a negotiation will probably take place. Besides, this could be considered to be a family dispute. But if Stephen were to offend the entire military, it would be a bit difficult to handle. After all, They were still staying in Continent Z, and Samuel didn't have the interest to offend the entire continent. I know. Stephen smiled. Don't worry. I won't make things difficult for you. Good. The two of them talked a bit more before Stephen left while Samuel stayed in his office. Stephen still has some things that he had to do. There were not much things that Samuel had to do for Cydia Base. What left was the things for his own advancement ceremony. Samuel glanced at the box on the table. This was something that he traded with Continent Z's official right after his return. I really didn't expect that they can actually find this thing in this world. After this, you can return to your glory. Are you happy? Samuel patted his sword. Buzz. The sword made buzzing sound, and Samuel could clearly feel its delight. He smiled faintly and tapped the sword. Now that he had collected all the materials, he just needed to talk with Rhea. In a few days, he should be able to advance to rank 7 and become the second person on the Green Planet to advance to rank 7. At this moment, Rhea was heading to the Research Institute with Amelia and Sophia. I can also take this time to check Melly's rank, Sophia said with a smile. There are not many beast masters in the world, but they have a complete database to help the magic beasts improve. It should have been given by Murin, Rhea replied leisurely. She could guess that Murin should have exchanged a lot of information in exchange for resources. He had to take care of a lot of magic beasts, and their food needs was definitely not small, so Rhea was not surprised if he ended up using the information in his hand to exchange for many things. Besides, the largest knowledge that Murin has would be the various information about magic beasts. If it was general knowledge, other returnees could also give it. But things related to their advancement, training, and evolution, he's the only one who could give it. Of course, the officials would test these things to prove that Murin was not lying to them before handing over the agreed deal. He's surprisingly generous, Sophia muttered. Because he couldn't do it himself, Rhea said calmly. Many venues for training these magic beasts can't be prepared by himself. He will need help of the continent to look for the suitable place and then head there for his own practice. If it was not because of this limitation, Rhea was sure that Murin would never want to look for them and ask for help. The information about how the magic beasts improved has always been something that only the official beast masters would pay attention to. Rhea couldn't help in this regards. Her knowledge was limited. I don't think it's possible to build anything on large scale aside from making walls. Amelia's lips twitched. After she came back, she saw her father, who was on the verge of collapse because he was having headache about the construction matters. Even if they have a lot of projects and something like that, the materials were limited and it was impossible for them to build specific training place for the magic beasts. At least not at this point. True, Rhea chuckled. She felt that aside from Murin, who was so eager to have his magic beasts got stronger, other people didn't care too much about this matter. They would rather spend their time practicing or focus on their own survival rather than caring about unnecessary matters. Oh, we're here. Amelia looked at the Research Institute. I think Ruby should be very happy to be able to stay here all the time. I wonder what kind of research she has been doing. Some research required confidential agreement, Sophia reminded. I know. I won't ask her to tell me anything that's not allowed from the agreement. The three of them walked inside and then stopped when they saw that Ruby was not alone. Reuben was there and the two of them were talking about something. Huh? Reuben is here. Amelia's eyes lit up and then she grinned. I thought that he's given a vacation by brother, but he's actually here to accompany Ruby? When the others heard that Reuben was on vacation, they also looked at the two people's interaction curiously. Rhea had never heard anything about her students' interpersonal relationship. Then again, with her teaching style that often let her student learn by themselves, it would be a miracle if she knew. Wow! Sophia's eyes were also shining with gossips. It seemed that next time they could also tease Ruby. Thinking about the time when she was dragged to study by the other party, Sophia rubbed her hands in excitement. It's time for her playful revenge. Rhea and Amelia suddenly saw Sophia's smile and silently took a step away. They didn't want to be implicated when Sophia wanted to trick someone, especially if it was Ruby. Click. Ruby turned her head and saw Sophia was holding a phone and took a pic. She didn't even bother turning off the sound and there was a big grin on her face. Sophia, Hey hey hey. It's rare to see Ruby so happy when talking with boys. So of course I have to save it. Sophia laughed heartily and put her phone away. Ruby looked at Sophia and her teeth itched a bit, but she didn't bother with the other party. Ruben is here to talk about the research conference that will be held in 2 weeks' time. I have a project presentation on that day. Oh, Sophia tilted her head. It seemed that you have made a breakthrough in your research. Of course. Ruby raised her chin proudly. I proceeded with the dark elements research and I found that there are parts of the dark creature's body that can hold more mana. After processing and then synthesized it with the... Stop! Stop! Ria quickly raised her hand to stop Ruby from giving them a lecture. She had the feeling that they were about to go back to university whenever Ruby started her outrageous lecture. Moreover, Ria hated biology back then. She still didn't like it even now, so she had no interest to listen to Ruby's long lecture about biology's topic like this. Ruby laughed when she saw the clear resistance on her 3 friends' face and smirked at Sophia, making the letter's teeth itched. When it was time for exams, Ruby would give lecture to Sophia on the day before so that she could catch up with the classes. Who made Sophia often felt sleepy in class and couldn't listen to whatever the teacher was saying. Now that Ruby started again, Sophia wanted to tickle her friend. Ahem, girls. Ruben interrupted. I'll be going back first. Also, there are some places that magic beasts can't enter. He pointed at Melly, who was following Sophia. Woof! Don't worry. I know. Melly could understand that Ruben was talking to her, so she responded. Well, Ruby, how about we talk while Sophia tests her Melly? Sure da. The testing for magic beasts of the Beastmasters were only strength, speed, and reaction speed. As for the blood sample and the likes, it required Sophia's consent before they were allowed to take it. Considering that Sophia was not the type of person who wanted to have her magic beast's blood to be drawn, she refused. So, the test for the magic beasts were relatively simple. Why don't you want to analyze the magic beast's DNA? Ruby asked curiously. I don't want their information to spread out, Sophia replied helplessly. What if their blood are taken during a battle? Then they need to have that ability. Her magic beasts were not weak and Sophia will get a new magic beast after Ria went to pay another visit to the crack. It would be impossible for others to get a lot of information from her magic beasts unless they were stronger than them. All right. Ruby didn't persuade Sophia either. After all, this matter was related to the other party's privacy. By the way, I'm here to give you this. Ria handed over a necklace. It's an upgrade version from the previous one, and no one would be able to hurt you. She couldn't protect her friends forever, but at the very least, she didn't want to see them got hurt. Since she had advanced to rank 7, making rank 7 magic formation would be quite easy, and what Ruby needed was a full protection. That kind of magic formation was easier to make than the one that would allow them to still attack their enemies. Thank you. Ruby happily accepted the necklace and took out a black ball around the size of her palm. This is my latest invention, dark mana element storage. I know that you don't really need it, but I don't really have anything else to give you. You don't really have to, though, Ria said helplessly, but she still took the black ball. Because Ria had all elements in her body, she simply inputted the dark element mana into the black ball, and her eyes flickered with surprise. Items that could store mana was not exactly rare in that world, but none of them learned how to make them. After all, many of them had to go through rigorous process before the final product could be seen. They all wanted to advance to rank 7 at the fastest speed possible, so how could they waste their time researching about these things? Besides, most of them would need to use runes to strengthen it. The amount of mana you can store inside is not much. I asked Ruben for help testing it before because he's the only dark element mage that I know, Ruby explained calmly. He said that it can only store to the limit of a rank 1 mage's mana, which is still quite a lot for magic warriors. Ruby herself didn't really slack off in her training, but she was definitely far behind her other friends. After all, she didn't have much passion to train or anything like that. Even when they were in the university, Ruby hated sports class. She felt that it was not necessary for her to push herself too hard because it was really tiring and all. It's better to make more things and do research. This black ball was the best invention that she had made so far, and Ruby was very proud of it. Ria nodded with a smile. It's not bad. Do you have another one? Yeah, I made a lot of samples, Ruby replied and took out another one. If Ria wanted it, she would give it to the other party as much as she wanted. The main materials to make it was the dark creature corpses that Ria had given to her. Without Ria's support, there was no way she would be able to make something like this. Ria only took one and then started to draw runes with her other hand on the second black ball. Her fingers moved quickly, and soon, beautiful engravings were visible on the surface of the black ball in silver color. This made the originally dull ball looked beautiful. I increased the capacity and made it more stable. Most magic tools are usually accompanied by the supporting runes to increase their performance. Ria explained calmly and handed the second ball back to Ruby. Based on the materials and limit, I can only increase it around 100 times the original capacity. In other words, it should be at the limit of rank 3 magician's mana. Since Ria was not exactly participating in the research, she didn't have clear value about the amount of mana she has. After all, it was not that easy to calculate the amount of mana that a magician and magic warriors has. Wow! Ruby was astonished, and her hand trembled a bit as she held the magic ball in her hand. Can I use this for the press conference? Sure. I'll give you the drawings later. Ria nodded and thought about giving the runes drawing to Ruby later. It was not that complicated, and this was considered a rank 3 magic formation. Considering the level of the rune masters all over the world, no one but Ria would be able to make it. Should she make the lesser one? Ruben could already make rank 2 runes and formation, so those rune masters from the government side shouldn't be lagging far behind. Since Ria didn't have any plan on going to the capital city, she could only use Ruben's speed of improvement to gauge their speed. Ruben, so I have become an unit to calculate others' progress? Thank you. Ruby was happy and wanted to go back and directly test the magic ball that Ria gave to her. If it was not because her friends were still here, she would have gone back without hesitation. Amelia chuckled when she saw Ruby's expression. It was really rare to see Ruby so impatient like this. The girls chatted happily for a while longer before Sophia was done with the test. Her magic beast strength on the record was updated, and then the 4 of them went to the restaurant in the core area of City A base. The food is really expensive, Ruby couldn't help but say when she saw the amount of contribution points that they needed to use. It couldn't be helped. The meats are all magic beast's meat. This is considered a high-end restaurant in City A base, Amelia explained. Though, she herself was not that worried about the food price because her brother provided her with enough contribution points. Even if she did nothing, there was more than enough for her to live comfortably in City A base. No matter what time, it seemed that Amelia would still be the young miss of the Jones family. Just order some and then we'll split equally, Sophia said lightly. Sure. None of them were poor people. It was quite funny to say that before the world changed. Ria and Ruby were actually busy working hard. Ria's situation only got better after she made the program on her 4th year and then sold it to the Jones Corporation, while Ruby was still the same as before. But even back then, they would try to make it as fair as possible so that no one would feel that they owe something. But now, all of them could be considered rich. The salary as a research assistant was not low, and Ruby's achievement made her more valued in City A base. Aside from the basic salary, she had received a lot of bonuses, which made her quite rich in terms of contribution points. Ria didn't need to be said. The cooperation she has and many other things made the number in her account all-time high. Amelia has her brother, while Sophia herself worked quite hard. Even with her having to feed her magic beasts, the amount of contribution points was more than enough for her to live comfortably. Anyway, they earned money to enjoy it instead of letting it rot. So why not enjoy their current life? When the food was served, all 4 girls were amazed. The chef is really good. Ah, the flavor is nice. The amount of mana preserved in the cooking is really good. Ria also praised without hesitation. The other 3 looked at Ria speechlessly. Ria blinked her eyes innocently. What? Can you not analyze things from the mana perspective all the time? Amelia complained. She had the feeling that Ria could never forget to see things from this direction, which made it even more strange in her opinion. Isn't it enough for the food to be delicious? Sophia added. In terms of nutritional value. Not you too, X2. They all laughed out loud and played around happily. It has been a long time since the girls gathered together like this, which made them really happy. Being able to enjoy their lives without the need about whether the world would be destroyed tomorrow is simply the best. Unfortunately, this kind of atmosphere was rare. They had to go back to their respective works soon. I'm really full. Ruby sighed and felt that it was really comfortable. She has no obsession with eating delicious food and so on. But it was nice to eat with her friends and gather together just like the past. How about if we take a walk? Do you have to go back to the research institute? I don't have anything to do. Sure. Let's go. They stood up, and at this moment, a group of people also came inside. Ria looked at their robes and arched her eyebrows. They were wearing robes, and the pattern was very familiar for her. Though, she herself was also wearing a magic robe that she customized from the Martial Arts Association. After all, this robe was imbued with various runes and formation to protect herself. Of course, she made sure that she picked the color and pattern herself. Because if she has to follow Peter's sense of fashion, Ria felt that she would never dare to wear the clothes in her entire life. There are magicians in City Base? Ria asked, her tone contained confusion. From what she knew, the relationship between City Base and the Magic Association was not very good. Yes, my father said that they have negotiated some terms to allow the magicians from the Magic Association to come here. Amelia replied. Don't worry. They will not dare to mess around in City Base. I see. Ria nodded. To be honest, a base where all three forces could stay would definitely be the best for most people. After all, if they could pick their own paths themselves, it would be the best. As they walked out of the restaurant and walked around, Ria saw more groups of magicians on the road. It seemed that there were more people who embarked on the path of a magician than expected. Then again, if they have talent, they would rather be magician than warriors. Or magic warrior. Will they catch up with us? Sophia muttered in a low voice when she saw the training grounds not far from the core area's gate. It seemed that this place was built to accommodate the increasing number of practitioners. After all, if they have to go out of the base to train every single time, it would be very tiring. City Base had expanded a few times, and right now, it was indeed not very convenient to walk out of the base if they lived far away from the gate. As long as you continue to train, you don't have to worry too much about it. Amelia shrugged. Besides, you don't think that you're the best in the entire world, are you? It's normal for others to surpass you if you're not diligent and hardworking enough. Rather than worrying about it, they better continue to train and focus on themselves. You're right. Sophia smiled. Ria glanced at Sophia. She could guess that Sophia was not that worried about other people surpassing her. After all, her own innate talent was actually not very good, and it could be said to be extremely bad. Without being a beast master, there was no way Sophia would be able to reach her current rank. The rich family's problems are really troublesome. Her own blood-related family members' matters were also quite troublesome. Her biological mother had already passed away while her biological father. Where is he? Ria didn't know exactly. As long as they didn't make trouble to her, Ria was really too lazy to care about these people. That's Sierra, right? Amelia spotted a familiar person on the training grounds and arched her eyebrows. When did she become a magician? Magician. What? Ria moved her gaze towards the training grounds and saw Sierra, who was testing her mana, and a group of boys who surrounded her. She looked a cocky queen who was trying to spread out her influence. Seeing the magic that Sierra used, Ria's eyes narrowed slightly. Is her talent really that good? She's already a rank 2 magician, right? Amelia pointed at Sierra with surprise on her face. She was quite sensitive to mana's fluctuation after advancing to rank 5, and it was very easy for her to detect other people's strength when they were using magic. Sierra was clearly not trying to hide her strength or anything like that, so it was obvious that she was already rank 2 magician. Can you reach rank 2 as a magician within a short half a year with limited resources? This was something that Amelia didn't know. She's a demonic magician, Ria replied. She saw more clearly than Amelia. Even without others using their magic to sense or anything like that, Ria could sense it very clearly. Ha! Magic talents are usually innate and passed down by their parents to their children. Sometimes there can be slight mutation where one of them is slightly more talented than the others, but the deviation is usually not that big, Ria explained. My own talent as a magician is actually considered mediocre, so I'll be surprised if my half-siblings have high magic talents. After all, if Ria had to be honest, there was time when she was tempted to become a demonic magician in that world. With her poor talent as a magician and warrior, neither of the three main paths would allow her to reach high rank. But in the end, she chose to try the auxiliary paths because she saw the runes were so easy to memorize. It was a coincidence, and that was what led her to the path as a Runemaster. Ha! The other three were obviously stunned. Well, the exact details of how the magic talents work has to be explained by Samuel. I'm sure that he knows more about the theory because of his education in that world. Ria coughed. She didn't know as much as Samuel about this matter. After all, some basic knowledge was blank in her mind because she skipped those processes when she became a Runemaster. If your talent is not high, how? Sophia looked at Ria in confusion. Ria is the first rank 7 magicians in this world. No, wrong. She's the first rank 7 Runemaster. Runemaster might be considered as magician's branch, but in truth, there are people who follow this path to the extreme, and I'm one of them, Ria explained calmly. Now that she had reached rank 7, she didn't care even if she told this matter to the others, because no one would be able to do much to her anymore. Magic that could turn life and death around, or even the past and present, couldn't be reached by them. By the time they reached that point, they could also set up the rules restriction to protect themselves from having their past interfered by others. But Ria didn't know the details. After all, she was far from reaching that rank. So your talent as Runemaster and magicians is different? Sophia asked. Ria nodded. Then how do you explain why my brother has high talent while my talent is low? Perhaps your mother's talent would be high if she's still alive? Ria said tactfully. Sophia's mother had passed away and didn't have the chance to experience the change of this world. Sophia looked at Ria blankly. Also, your brother's talent is not as high as you expect him to be. Ria chuckled. It's just slightly above average, and your father's talent should be between you and your brother. Even though it was indeed a bit surprising for the siblings to have a completely different talent, but it was still within the acceptable range. If it's reasonable for me, why not her? Because Mrs. Taylor didn't have any talent to become magician, and if I'm not wrong, Sierra has tested her talent before and the result is that her talent is poor, Ria explained calmly. Considering her own father's talent shouldn't be that different from her. Ria didn't think that the combination of these two people would result in a genius magician's talent. She felt that such a thing would be highly impossible. My brother? Amelia asked weakly. Ria was silent. That's gene mutation. Eft. Ha ha ha. They all laughed out loud when they heard Ria's evaluation. Then again, Samuel's talent was indeed the highest in the Jones family, even higher than both Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones. These two people's talents were not that bad, but their age was there and it was already too late for them to start practicing. So they could only train moderately and they should be able to get good result in the future. At least, they didn't need Samuel to protect them for their entire life with their training result. But with their current position, who would dare to offend these two people? Unless they were stupid, they would not do something like that. The four of them stopped paying attention to Sierra. Even though it was a bit surprising to see the other party here and found out that she has practiced as a demonic magician, they have no interest to interact with the other party. Hey Mel, does City a Base allow the existence of demonic magicians? Sophia suddenly asked something. If she was not wrong, one of the reasons why Victoria was kicked out of City a Base before was because she was a demonic magician, right? To be honest, with the way Victoria attacked them at that time, it would not be surprising for her to be kicked out. Ha! Amelia's brain was slow for a moment and then she nodded. Yeah, demonic magicians are not allowed to stay in City A Base. They have to move to City J Base. So, Ruby glanced at the back. It seemed that Sierra never said that she was a demonic magician. But if they were to report this matter, it meant that Sierra would never be able to stay in Cydia base. After all, the demonic magician's method to get stronger might injure other people and most people couldn't accept it. Then I'll report it. Amelia smiled brightly. Ria looked at her best friend who was prepared to go back and made a small report to her father and silently turned to look at her other two friends. They were looking at the sky and ground instead of looking at her, which looked rather amusing. You two are really... Ria shook her head in amusement. If she's not here, she won't be able to come and trouble you again. Ruby spread her hand with a smile. It's her own fault for breaking the law knowingly. The fact that Cydia base didn't accept the demonic magician has been basically written in the law. Since Sierra dared to practice and become a demonic magician despite knowing that, she had to be prepared to leave Cydia base. For this matter, they would not show any mercy. You're right, Sophia chuckled. Seeing her friends like this, Ria smiled warmly. It was really a good thing for her to be able to meet with these people, even if they could be quite annoying at times. But she knew that they were all trustworthy people. The four of them went their separate ways. Amelia wanted to see her father and made a small report along with her practice arrangement. Ruby wanted to go back to the lab after Ria handed over the paper drawing that she made while they were waiting for their food before. Sophia herself wanted to go out of the base and hunted a few magic beasts with her brother. Her next magic beast can wait until later. Ria herself made her way back to the Jones family residence. It seemed that she had gotten used to stay here, which made her wonder if she overstayed as a guest. After all, it would be impolite for her to stay in other people's house without paying any rent. Sensing the familiar presence when she stepped on the living room, Ria looked at Samuel, who was sitting leisurely on the sofa. Don't you need to train, Samuel? Ria asked curiously. After she advanced to rank 7, Ria had heard that there was a training craze for a period of time. Many people wanted to advance to rank 7 like her and chose to train as much as possible so that they would be able to advance to rank 7. Unfortunately, it was not that easy, and their enthusiasm disappeared after a few days because it was really tiring to train all day long. Moreover, their wallet definitely couldn't withstand their destructive training without caring about money. In such a situation, it was only the returnees who were able to enter the state of rapid training like that. Samuel was no exception. Unfortunately, he was too busy with his work in Cydia base. I've reached the peak of rank 6, Samuel said lightly as he looked at Ria and stood up from the sofa. Ria stopped on her steps. The expression on Samuel's face was hard to read, but she guessed that he should have something that he wanted to tell her. And for the returnees, reaching the peak of rank 6 was not that hard. What they needed the most was resources and time. Afterwards, they had to collect everything they needed to prepare for their advancement ceremony. Every profession required different thing, and Ria herself didn't know what Samuel needed. Do I have something you need for the advancement ceremony? Ria asked carefully. She was browsing through her memory as she looked at Samuel. Their height difference made her have to raise her head slightly to look in at his face. There were many things that she had brought out from the crack, but Ria didn't think that Samuel would need anything that was ordinary. So minerals? Or it was the materials from the rank 7 magic beast that she has inside her world. While Ria used up almost everything she has for her own advancement ceremony, she still has some left. The blood was used to make formation plate, and the remaining were the bones or the meat that she didn't really need, but it would be a waste to recycle them directly into mana. After all, it was difficult for her to get such material. Well, I need your formation and your presence to protect me through the advancement ceremony, Samuel said slowly. His expression was gentle. Ria was stunned and her pupil widened, expressing her disbelief. Do you know what you're doing? I know. I trust you. No. I mean you. There's only one person who could accompany in the advancement ceremony at such a close distance, and that. Ria felt that her language ability has deteriorated, making her stutter. And I want to choose you, Samuel said firmly. He looked at Ria in the eyes and asked, will you give me that chance? Ria pursed her lips. She took a deep breath, trying her best to calm down, and looked at Samuel in front of her. He was also looking in her direction, waiting patiently. "I." Rhea opened her mouth and then closed it again. There will be 2 advancement ceremony they have to experience, one when they advance to rank 7 and the other one when they advance to rank 10. Either one of these 2 was extremely important, and any failure or mistake will be related to whether they could possibly reach the peak. Reaching the peak is everyone's dream. In that world, they have seen the wonder of those who could stand on the peak and the power that fascinated countless people. They wanted to get stronger. When they came back here, not a single one of them would be willing to lose the chance to reach the peak. It was also because of this that Rhea was working hard. They all knew that the change in the green planet and their sudden transmigration and return was definitely not a coincidence. After Rhea received that message after her advancement, she understood the truth. And it was also because of this that she knew that she would be more eager to advance to the peak. However, this would not be a short journey. What was needed was not only perseverance but also patience and hard work. So even if she trusted Samuel, she still didn't let him stay in the core area of her formation when she advanced to rank 7 some time ago. "Even if you didn't let me enter the core areas, I can see that you still trust me." Samuel stepped forward and stopped half a meter away from Rhea. Even at this close distance, there was no vigilance from Rhea. With his physical strength, it would be very easy to subdue the other party in this distance. Because Rhea's physical strength was not her strongest point, and the improvement brought by her runes was far from making her able to contend with a real magic warriors or even warriors. But she didn't put on any defense around him. No matter how much a comrades trust each other, they would never truly leave their backs to the other party when it was not necessary. This just showed that Rhea is truly comfortable near Samuel. This is the reason why Samuel dared to try. But it didn't mean that he was not nervous. "You're really unfair," Rhea muttered helplessly, looking at Samuel in front of her, and pursed her lips. "What if I hinder your path to the peak?" "You won't." Samuel chuckled and then looked at Rhea. "It's not like there can only be one person who could reach the peak. It'll be nothing more than a competition on who could reach it first. I believe that you're not the type of person who couldn't handle others being better than you." Rhea rolled her eyes inappropriately and then laughed lightly. If she was such a petty person, she would never be able to reach rank 7 in the first place. Because they have to come to term with themselves, and their mental state had to be firm, or they would never be able to pass through that barrier. Besides, she knew that they have their own advantage and disadvantage. There was no point in comparing or being jealous with each other. It is more important to improve themselves. "If you trust me so much, it would be a pity if I don't respond, right?" Rhea asked back, a sly look on her face. The next moment, Rhea took a step forward. Her hands reached upwards and hugged the other party's neck. Rhea saw the shock and the joy that followed after and laughed lightly. She looked at the man's face that was close to her and leaned in, kissing the man's lips, and Samuel responded and quickly took charge. Samuel's swords hummed inappropriately at this time, and the 2 people retreated and looked at the sword. "Your sword can't be jealous, right?" Rhea asked curiously. "No, it just refused to be fed dog food because it has seen a lot from my parents in that world," Samuel said helplessly. Hearing this, Rhea laughed out loud. Poor sword. Having developed consciousness, it had to face such a thing just because the owner. Samuel looked helpless, but his eyes were gentle when he looked at Rhea, completely different from his usual state when facing other people. The 2 of them didn't speak about it out loud, but they knew very well that for people like them whose dream was to reach the peak, they have no chance for any second chance or something like that. And this also included their relationship. When Samuel told Rhea that he wanted her to be the one to protect her, it meant that he had decided on her until the very end. The only person who could enter the core areas in an advancement ceremony could only be their lifelong partner whom they could trust with their entire heart. When it was her turn back then, Rhea couldn't take that first step. She trusted him, but not until that step. So Samuel chose to be the one to break this thin layer of paper between them. To be honest, it was not really necessary to trust until that point, because there were many other couples in that world who will not give their entire heart and trust to their partner. It just depends on the 2 people. Samuel wanted to. That's why it started with that request. "All right, stop laughing." Samuel patted his sword to let it stop buzzing. It was clearly complaining heavily for Samuel's action of favoring others over it. Okay. Rhea really stopped laughing, but she was still smiling as she looked at the complaining sword. She looked at Samuel and asked, "When do you plan to go?" "I still have to scout the terrains and prepare the formation as you requested." "Tomorrow," Samuel replied. "So soon?" But thinking that he had been preparing for this advancement for a long time, he should have prepared everything that they needed. "Okay, I'll go and pick up Sophia's new pet beast first," Rhea said after thinking for a moment. She had planned to take the castle turtle back to Sophia. With the castle turtle, Sophia's self-protection skill be higher. "Will there be enough time?" Samuel asked in surprise. "There's enough time." Rhea smiled and then pointed to her room. "I just have to use the teleportation formation a few times. Right?" A Runemaster's methods could be said to be quite convenient. Samuel nodded in understanding and looked at the woman in front of him before raising his head and rubbed her head. "Let's continue tomorrow?" Rhea was stunned and there was a blush on her cheek. "Your sword won't complain?" "I'll lock it away." Buzz. Seeing that the sword flew on its own and started beating up Samuel, Rhea laughed out loud on the side. Who made him want to challenge his own sword's patience? "Hey, I'm already kind enough to put you away." Stop it. Damn it." The two of them made a fuss for a while before Samuel managed to coax his sword away. But it was clear that before reaching rank 7, the sword will not allow its eyes to be polluted by the scene that it didn't want to see. Though what makes people wonder is whether the sword has any eyes. "This sword spirit is definitely a female or it wouldn't be so fussy," Samuel complained as he put the sword away. Rhea arched her eyebrows. "From what I know, spirits didn't have any gender. Right? When an item or something like that gained their consciousness, they didn't really have any gender. Their appearance would be based on their characteristic and they could choose between the pronunciation he or she, depending on themselves." Samuel was about to say more when he saw his sword flying towards him again, and he could only ran to the backyard. Seeing this scene, Rhea didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But it was really lively. "Rhea, can you help me instead of laughing?" "No, if I'm going, the sword will be angrier." "That's true." It took some time for the sword to finish beating up Samuel this time, and the two of them made their arrangement to rest before going out tomorrow. Besides, Samuel still has to inform his father that he wanted to go out while Rhea headed back to the crack to pick up the castle turtle. Samuel looked at his sword resentfully but facing his sword buzzing. He could only sigh. "I wonder what you have seen in the past to make you react so much." Samuel patted the sword helplessly. In the past, the sword naturally didn't belong to himself but to others, and it regained consciousness to a certain degree, which allowed it to perceive the outside world. Through this way, the sword would be able to help their owner. However, most of the time, the sword still has to be controlled by the magic warrior or the warrior. After all, it was very tiring for the sword to move itself. Buzz. The sword just buzzed a bit and then stayed quiet. It was already exhausted after beating up Samuel not long ago. Even if the beating would not hurt, Samuel still ran away from the flying sword. After all, it was not exactly pleasant to be beaten up by his own sword. When Samuel reached his father's office, his sister had just finished negotiating with her father and walked out in satisfaction. "Brother," Amelia called out obediently. Samuel arched his eyebrows and flicked Amelia's forehead. "Go back to train and don't play around here." I know. Amelia stuck out her tongue and then ran away. "Samuel, that childish brat has never changed." He shook his head and entered his father's office. Seeing that his father was busy with something, he paused. "Did I come at the wrong time?" "No. I'm just giving some orders to the people below." Mr. Jones looked at his son and arched his eyebrows. "I don't think you have anything good to say to me when you come here." "Why do you say that, father?" Samuel clicked his tongue. "I'm here to tell you that I'm going to leave City at base for a while again." Mr. Jones looked at his son subtly. "Going to the crack again?" He swore that Samuel seemed to be treating the crack as his second home, because the time he spent in the crack alone had surpassed the time he spent at his real home. But Mr. Jones couldn't really say anything. He knew that these returnees required a lot of resources, with most of the resources didn't exist in this world. They have to enter the crack bravely if they anted to obtain those resources, because there were a lot of magic beasts guarding various places. These magic beasts also wanted to get stronger, so they had a fight with humans one way or another. No. Samuel looked at his father solemnly. I'm going for a trip. Mr. Jones' expression changed slightly. He understood that this was Samuel's method of telling him that he was about to advance to rank 7. To prevent those B***stards from using satellite to track him down, it would be better for Samuel not to say the real meaning of his words. After all, who knew how many people would come forward and wanted to kill him and block his path forward? I know. Mr. Jones tilted his head. Alone or? I'm going with Rhea, Samuel said without hesitation. Since he had asked for Rhea to make formation for his advancement ceremony, how could he possibly leave her behind? Besides, he still wanted to spend more time with her. Samuel thought for a moment and added, It's a date. Mr. Jones? Hey, what? He looked at his son with some incomprehension and finally rubbed his forehead tiredly. Even though Mr. Jones knew that his son is such a straight steel man who didn't understand romance. But what kind of advancement ceremony is called a date? Moreover, the world outside the bases were nothing more than ruins, which was not exactly something that people would like to see. Even if they were to go out, the sight outside was not exactly pleasant to see. After all, they hadn't cleaned up even after so many years. You? Yes. You should read books about how to prepare better date for your partner. If I had treated your mother like you, I'm sure that she'll never want to marry me. Mr. Jones roared angrily at his son. Samuel was silent. He rubbed his nose and felt that he might really need to read the books that Mr. Jones mentioned. After all, he spent his time learning, managing business, and then training all the time. It seemed that he did neglect this part. But Rhea didn't seem to dislike him because of this. Mr. Jones sighed deeply. I don't know which girl is blind enough to see you. I better prepare something for her so that you won't be dumped. Samuel? No, wait. I'm not that bad, right? Seeing the doubt on Samuel's face, Mr. Jones sneered. Your face and ability is indeed not bad. But your attitude and knowledge is a completely different matter. You better learn how to treat your partner better and not let her feel that she's neglected. And then, what followed was a long lecture from Mr. Jones. Samuel's face was getting stranger and stranger when he listened to his father's words. The words in the beginning does make sense, and Samuel knew very well that he did need to work hard in some aspects, or it would be impossible for him to maintain this relationship for a lifetime. But, Father, you're not resentful because you disappoint Mother that you say these things to me, right? Samuel asked carefully when Mr. Jones stopped to take a breathing. Mr. Jones' expression changed, and he looked at his son with a black face. Samuel showed an innocent face. Get out, you brat. Bang! Samuel ran away without hesitation while Mr. Jones remained in his office. He felt that whoever said that Samuel and Sean were better than Amelia was definitely looking for troubles. These two brats were the same as her, but they just knew how to make it so that they would not be excessive. After all, one is the pampered young miss and the other two still has some responsibility that they had to bear. Who are they taking after, huh? Why are you so angry to your son? Mrs. Jones stood on the doorway and looked at her husband with her arms crossed. Ah ha ha ha. That brat is just trying to provoke me. Are they trying to provoke you, or you're the one doing it? Mrs. Jones has an expression of disdain. Having lived together with her husband for such a long time, how could she not know his nature? This man was also very playful and naughty when he was younger, so much that his father often felt like beating him up. Mrs. Jones had watched the fun scene when her father-in-law chased after her husband in the past. Now, it seemed that things only repeated itself. It's hard enough for him to find a good daughter-in-law, and you better not make things more difficult for them, Mrs. Jones reminded. As for who it is, how could Mrs. Jones not know? From the moment she saw Samuel coming out of Rhea's room at that time, and then watched how her own son kept on going to the crack with the other party, she understood Samuel's thoughts. He was not the kind of person who would pay much attention to women. Even though they were capable at work or they were beautiful, it was hard to truly enter his heart and be appreciated by him. But Rhea did it. It was done in such a short period of time that Mrs. Jones was also astonished and understood that both sides were moved. Otherwise, it would be impossible for two people to move closer at such a short period of time. Well, they basically spent nearly an entire year staying inside the crack. Even though Mrs. Jones believed in her son and that he wouldn't do anything inappropriate, considering that Rhea is stronger comprehensively with her formation, it was estimated that her son would be the one being beaten up if he did any time wrong. I know, Mr. Jones said immediately. Mrs. Jones looked at her husband and shook her head helplessly. Her 3 children were all more similar to her husband in terms of personality. Samuel might look stabler, but when he was comfortable, she was sure that his naughty personality will definitely show more. Forget it. I'm going to prepare some gifts for them. You come with me to select gifts. Yes. The secretary, who wanted to talk about work, silently retreated when he saw this scene. But at the same time, the news that Samuel has a girlfriend quietly spread. When he returned, it was estimated that half of Cydia Base would know that one of the returnees, Samuel Aldrin Jones, has a partner. Samuel didn't go back to his house and instead went to pay a visit to Reuben and Arnold, telling them that he was about to leave Cydia Base again. There are still a lot of work, but I can handle them. Reuben looked at Samuel with tired look. But can you please stop throwing your work to me? He's on an assistant and not the main worker. There were still many things that Samuel has to review himself. Haha, sorry, I'll not do it again, Samuel said helplessly. He was simply too busy. If only he could split himself to 2, it would have been much better. But Samuel was only thinking about it in his mind. Even if there was indeed magic that could make puppets, but it was not something that he learned back then. And learning now was definitely far too late. Unfortunately, none of the returnees knew that they would go back to the green planet after they came to that world. They only thought that they had gained an inexplicable second life in a completely different world and strive hard to make sure that they would not do anything wrong. After all, life in that world was much harsher compared to this world. I don't think your words are reliable. Reuben rolled his eyes and then jumped up funnily. But it doesn't matter. I just have to throw them back to Mr. Jones. Samuel? He sincerely lit a candle to his father. Arnold looked at these 2 people and couldn't help but laugh. He had the feeling that this was indeed a bit funny, especially because neither of them were really serious when talking about this topic. Are you going to leave for a long time? Arnold decided to steer the conversation back. If he let Reuben lead the conversation, who knew which road this man would take? It should be only a few days, Samuel replied. He planned to enter a crack to avoid surveillance and then emerged from a different crack's entrance. While it was impossible to hide his own presence all the time because of the technology advancement, but this should be good enough. By the time they found him, he should have already advanced to rank 7 and no longer afraid of anything. Wait, he probably still need to worry about Rhea. But aside from that, he wouldn't have much things that he needed to worry about because he was strong enough. Tisk, you're about to become a family man too, Reuben muttered in a low voice. Don't worry. There's still Steven to accompany you to play. Indeed. Reuben's lips twitched. Pulling Steven to play? Are you going to get myself killed? I better go back and learn to make runes again. My master is not very merciful to me, Reuben said bitterly. After becoming Rhea's apprentice, Reuben felt that his hand was no longer his. He had to work hard as Samuel's assistant and then he had to learn a lot of runes. Afterwards, he still has to train his mana control and meditate. Every single day was so busy that Reuben felt he was about to collapse. These people really have no mercy on him. Becoming serious is also a good thing. Arnold smiled. Get lost. Ha ha ha. While Samuel was informing others about his intention to leave Cydia Base, Rhea made a short trip to the crack and then called Sophia. The castle turtle was very big and it can only be found in lake. After catching one, Rhea brought it up, but without any contract with the beast master, it was simply impossible to bring the castle turtle into the base. After all, the size was a bit. In short, Rhea stayed outside of the base, beside one of the crack with a big castle turtle beside her. even though it was only the size of a room more or less, but it was still nearly 3 meters high and more than 4 meters in length. When the small Rhea stood beside the castle turtle, she does look a bit small. Sophia, who was outside to hunt a few magic beasts, immediately came over when she received Rhea's call, and the tall dark green castle turtle was immediately visible. In terms of appearance, the castle turtle actually looked quite similar to ordinary turtle except for the size. But on the back of the castle turtle was the castle-shaped shell. It was protruding with the center the biggest and the rest were shorter and smaller. The number was far less compared to porcupine, but it could be considered to be a kind of defense. Susnovelfor.net. It didn't look that similar to castle, Sophia commented when she looked at the castle turtle. Do you really think that the shell will shape in accordance to your imagination of castle? Rhea's lips twitched at Sophia's words. She had the feeling that Sophia was thinking about something dangerous. Ha. Sophia rubbed her nose and then asked, "Why do you look for this castle turtle so early? I thought that you plan on searching for the castle turtle later." "That's the original plan, but I have to go tomorrow," Rhea replied with a shrug. Thankfully, she was already done with consolidating her rank and does need to go on a trip to replenish her supplies. They would not go directly to advance to rank 7 and Rhea could easily manipulate their whereabouts through traveling to other places inside the crack. Before accompanying Samuel to advance to rank 7, she wanted to hunt a few more rank 6 magic beasts and gathered enough materials. One day should be enough. You're leaving again. Sophia stepped forward to complete the contract with the castle turtle and looked at Rhea in surprise. Yes. Before making contract, are you satisfied with this castle turtle? There's a real living space inside the castle turtle where you can live and decorate it as you wishes. This is the real reason why the castle turtle is named that way, Rhea explained. Even though the protruding didn't really look like castle from the outside, but if they looked at it from inside, they would see that it was actually very beautiful and spacious. There were also faint rune markings on the edge of the castle turtle's shells. Rhea had long noticed it and knew that it was innate. And it was also because of these runes that the castle turtle could have a living space inside. Unfortunately, it was impossible for them to separate the castle turtle from its shell because these runes would immediately stop working. There was a connection between the castle turtle's lives and the space inside its shell. I'm very satisfied, Sophia chuckled. She didn't have much idea on her own about the magic beast selection aside from the general idea. After all, the number of magic beasts known by the world was limited and it was impossible to make detailed plans in the past. They were all walking the path that has never been taken before. And Sophia knew very well that what Rhea had provided her was already more than enough. These magic beasts were powerful enough for her to take care. Most importantly, having a separate space was simply convenient. Sophia had long been thinking about leaving the Carson family and if she could live outside. Isn't it much better? Perhaps Rhea had some guesses about her attitude towards the Carson family. That's why she suggested this magic beast. In that case, I won't stop you. Rhea chuckled and stepped to the side while Sophia concluded the contract with the castle turtle. The castle turtle itself was very gentle in nature, which is why it was easy for Rhea to bring it up. After all, the castle turtle didn't have much means of attack, but its defense and hiding ability was top-notch. As long as their contractor stayed inside, the strong defense of the castle turtle would be able to protect them. Rhea and Sophia talked for a bit more before they went their separate ways. Sophia wanted to familiarize herself with the castle turtle while Rhea wanted to go back to the crack and hunted some magic beasts. Now that I have reached rank 7, Rhea looked at the large number of magic beasts in front of her and smiled. It was time for a hunt. The next day, Rhea saw Samuel was ready on the gate and looked at him in confusion. Is there anything wrong? Samuel asked back when he saw Rhea's gaze on him. He was sure that his dresses were not stained or anything like that. No, I'm just thinking that we can actually leave from your residence, right? I have set up a teleportation formation there, Rhea replied with her lips twitched. After she finished hunting a large number of magic beasts, Rhea went back to rest. She also encountered a rank 7 magic beast, but it was still very easy to deal with it, which made her a bit bored. Thankfully, She didn't enter the crack solely for practice but more because she wanted to collect a lot of materials to make formation and so on. So after hunting for more than 6 hours, Rhea came back to rest. The process was not that difficult, but her heart would grow restless because she was killing a large number of magic beasts in such a short period of time. No matter what, she had to manage her mental state or she wouldn't be able to calm down. It might be a bit similar to the demonic magician. The difference is that demonic magician actively absorbed the magic beast's blood, which contaminated their mental state by the way. But the other ordinary profession could only feel this way if they started a massacre and killed a lot of creatures. Even if the one that they killed was the magic beasts, but their mental state would still be impacted to a certain degree. "It's better to walk," Samuel said lightly when he saw the look on Rhea's face. In terms of killing, he believed that he had killed much more magic beasts as compared to Rhea. After all, he came to that kind of family in that world, and if he wanted to practice his sword, it's better to let the sword kill real magic beasts. His best method is offense. It meant that he had killed a lot of magic beasts that had strong defense to be able to be worthy of this name. On the other hand, Rhea is a Runemaster. While her own combat ability is not strong, Samuel could guess that Rhea should not step forward on the front line to collect most of her materials on her own. With so many other people willing to work hard to gather materials in exchange for money, Rhea could easily gather all materials that she wanted without even leaving the city. Some special materials required her to travel in person. It would also train her battle instinct and so on. But most of the time, Rhea would not leave the city and would stay there to practice and also to make a lot of formations. Because this was how the Rune Masters usually lived and improved themselves. Rhea looked at Samuel's expression and finally nodded. "Also, I need to let those people know that I have left City a base for a period of time again," Samuel said lightly. "Are they trying to make trouble?" Rhea frowned. "There are some game among the higher-ups, but it wouldn't really affect our lives," Samuel replied without hesitation. There might be some people who wanted to reach out their hands, but Samuel has long stopped them with some means and his father was also helping him. As a returnee himself, there were many people who wanted to take advantage of him and made him do various things. Samuel felt sick when he thought about those greedy people. He was only glad that there were still many good officials who cared for people who were staying on top. These people truly understood that they had to work together and worked hard for the sake of the people. Even if they have their own weaknesses and imperfections, it was still better than those people who coveted power for themselves. "Soul fire Dunanty. You've worked hard," Rhea said helplessly. In terms of negotiation and so on, Rhea was not very good. She was too soft-hearted and was really not suitable to become a businessman. After all, she was not like this black-hearted businessman in front of her, who could easily arrange the distribution that would make sure that he could get a lot of profits as possible. "It's not hard," Samuel chuckled. Rhea was too lazy to argue and continued to walk forward. She had already told Amelia and the others that she was going to leave City a base again. They didn't have much reaction to this statement. Perhaps she has been out of City a base for so many times that everyone felt that it was normal. It would be stranger if Rhea could stay quiet and stay in City a base obediently without anyone bothering her. "By the way, my father told me that some people will be kicked out of City a base soon. They wouldn't be able to bother you again in the future." Samuel remembered something and said to Rhea, "Huh." Rhea tilted her head and then said, "It doesn't really matter, but if she's really a demonic magician, other people would have to be careful around her. The government is the one who's busy trying to make a device that could differentiate ordinary magician and magic warriors from the demonic magicians. They felt that something like this would be very useful," Samuel said helplessly. "Such a device does exist in that world, but it mainly consisted of runes and also magic tools. The problem is, they didn't have a blacksmith capable enough to make such a device in this world. Replicating it through science would be a bit more difficult." Rhea blinked her eyes and said sincerely, "I hope they can make it." "You know the runes, right?" "I do know," Rhea chuckled. "The demonic magician essentially will have to use the blood of magic beasts, which will affect their mental state. So the divide will detect their mental state and the amount of magic beast's blood that's mixed into their bodies. Unfortunately, This device couldn't detect it if they have merged with the magic beast's blood perfectly. Besides, it was not like the magicians, magic warriors, and so on were on a big war with the demonic magicians. The device was only set up so that those demonic magicians who were more bloodthirsty would not enter the city and endangered the people. As long as the demonic magicians didn't go crazy on the spot because of some reasons, many of them were actually good people. I know, Samuel sighed. He was participating in the conflict between the ordinary paths and the demonic magicians. However, neither side was willing to fight to the very end, and they felt that it was good enough to know some limits during their interactions with each other. Perhaps combining with magic? The two laymen in this matter discussed the issue, and in the end they gave up. Neither of them have professional knowledge about this matter. After walking for a bit, they reached the crack, entered it, and then Rhea teleported them to the entrance of another crack where she has already set up a teleportation formation before. The teleportation formation is as convenient as ever, Samuel commented and then pointed in one direction. This was still in City A, but they were near the edge of the city. He had checked this place through the satellite and knew that there were no people living here. The nearest base was City A base, but it was still a distance away from here. Okay, I'll set up the formation first. Yes. Before Rhea could take out the materials, Samuel had handed over a space storage scroll to her. She took it and understood that Samuel had prepared a large amount of rank 5 magic beast's blood. Rank 5? You don't need it to be so high? Just a mana-gathering formation and basic defensive formation, Samuel replied. If there's any rank 6 who come over, I'm sure that you can deal with it. Rhea chuckled. I just hope there wouldn't be any nuclear bomb used here. I don't think anyone would want to destroy the world more than it already is. The current state of the green planet was already worrying enough as it is. If those people still wanted to wage war against each other, it would only turn the situation even worse. Right? Rhea sighed and started to make the formation. Based on Samuel's request, it didn't even take 10 minutes for Rhea to finish everything, and almost used up all the rank 5 magic beast's blood that Samuel gave to her. It's done. Good. Samuel stretched his body and took out a large number of valuable ores and minerals that he had collected in more than a year. After his return, he basically used the Jones family's connections to get some things that was a bit rarer. Rhea looked at the piles of items and fell into silence. At this moment, she deeply felt that she's poor. I just need to work harder next time, Rhea mused to herself inside her mind. Anyway, it was not like she needed a lot of money or anything like that, but Rhea only felt that Samuel was really rich. She stood on the side and didn't come any closer in fear that she would disturb Samuel's advancement ceremony. The starting process of a magic warrior's advancement to rank 7 was actually similar to magician. They have to compress their own mana heart, and Samuel sat down on the ground calmly and meditated. Discover more novels at n0v3l.fire.net. Since they have experienced it once, they could repeat it the way they did it before. Perhaps the detailed methods were different, but it does look similar on the outside. Rhea stayed quiet and looked at Samuel in the middle of the formation. He could sense the mana around was slowly but surely surging towards Samuel. Just like what Rhea did before, Samuel sensed the mana that came towards him and then absorbed it into his body and used part of it to compress his own mana heart. The amount of mana he has was far from Rhea's, but it would not make this process any easier.